Okay, this is part 2 of user-written functions, and we just saw a couple examples of functions. This is the general format, isn't it, for how we create a function. So we say we give it a name, and then we have to say that it's going to be a function, and then we list the arguments, however many they're going to be, and with the brackets around that, here and here. Then we start these kind of brackets, and we put the statements that do the calculations based on these arguments, and then we return something so that the function gives some kind of result. So that's the general format. Now a little bit of comment here from the author here. He says objects in the function are local to the function. That's what I was saying, that the variables that you create inside the function are local. They don't exist outside the function. The objects returned can be any data type. So I think last two examples we returned were numbers, or no, actually one was a kind of with a percent on it, so it was maybe it was a string, character type. But you can return any type. It can be a number, it can be character, it can be a list, it can be a vector, whatever. However you want, whatever you need returned, and however you define it so that it returns that. From a scalar to a list. Okay, now he says, let's take, say you'd like to have a function that calculates the central tendency. That usually means just the mean and the spread, and the spread usually means the standard deviation. So suppose you want to create a function that that's going to calculate the mean and the standard deviation for some data, some vector x, and we're going to allow the user to choose between two different ways of calculating the so-called central tendency and spread. The two different ways are, like I just said, it could be the mean, but there's another so-called measure of the center, which is the median. So we'll allow the user to choose whether they want this type or this type. Now if they choose the mean, they're also going to get the standard deviation for the spread. If they choose the median, then they're going to get what's called the MAD, the mean absolute deviation, which is sort of like the standard deviation for the spread. So user's going to choose one or the other, and if they choose one, they'll get these two, and if they choose the other, they'll get these two. And the way they choose is we're going to have one of the arguments in our function. One of the arguments is the vector, but another one is whether it's so-called parametric, whether parametric equals true or false. So if parametric is true, and that's just some word from statistics, but it doesn't matter. If this thing is set to true, then we're going to use this one. And if this thing is set to false, so if they enter false for parametric, then they're going to get this one back. Okay? And that's the basic idea. And also, we're going to have another argument in there. So we're going to have this one, which is a vector. We're going to have this one, which is a Boolean argument, or Boolean parameter. And we're going to have this one, which is also Boolean, which is whether it should be printed or not. Now, I don't even know what that means. If print... Well, anyway, we'll see what that means. Oh, I see what it means. It's just like whether it's going to print out some sentences as well as just the results. But anyway, you'll see it in a minute. So let's see. It says, say you'd like to have a function that calculates the central tendency and spread of data objects. The function should give you a choice between parametric, which he means that you get the mean and the standard deviation, or so-called non-parametric, which means that you get the mean, the median, and the median absolute deviation. So whatever, it doesn't matter what that word means, parametric or not. Just it's going to be true or false. The results should be returned as a named list. So we want to return this as a list. Additionally, the user should have a choice of automatically printing the results or not, whatever that means. Unless otherwise specified, the function's default behavior should be to calculate parametric statistics, so the default behavior means if they don't say that they want parametric true or they want parametric false, then it's just going to do the parametric version and not print the results. Okay, so how are we going to set this up so that the default behavior is like this and this? Okay, so here's his solution. Okay, so let's look at it. Or actually, let's stop this video and then we'll examine the function carefully.